I'm a doctor, a father, an American, an Indian. I've had conversations about life from every angle, and as I've navigated the South Asian experience, I share stories of people and their purpose. And what they're saying over and over again is, trust me, I know what I'm doing. I'm Abhay, and on this episode of Trust Me, I Know What I'm Doing, we're joined by award-winning visual artist Bijay Biswaal. Stay tuned. It's not really any secret that art moves us. It makes us react, plan, remember, reflect, expand, and focus, among other things. And when I'm looking at a painting, my reactions are certainly personal, visceral, and emotional. And speaking of personal, visceral, and emotional reactions, thank you all for listening to the show, for subscribing to, downloading, and rating the podcast, and for following us on social media at Dr. Abhay. A few months ago, I received a message on a family WhatsApp group, and like many things on WhatsApp, it was likely destined to just get deleted. But this one literally caught my eye, though, as it was a stunning scene of an Indian train station platform, a seemingly routine day with both the bustle and motion of the people walking, capturing also the peaceful, muted, private moment of an onlooker on a cloudy summer afternoon. For me, growing up and while visiting India, I was grateful to have traveled relatively frequently by train, and that vivid image brought back fond memories and led me to connect with its creator, the award-winning artist Bijay Biswaal. Bijay is originally from rural Odisha and now lives in Nagpur. He spent many years as a chief ticket collector for the Indian Railways. With an early taste for art and creativity, Bijay found solace in painting, and through the years diligently taught himself how to paint in an array of different modalities. Bijay particularly portrays the motifs of India that he loves: rural, devotional, land and cityscapes, and of course train platforms, for which he's garnered local, national, and international attention. He's since retired from the Indian Railways to devote his time and energy to his art, winning numerous awards and garnering so many accolades. I had an opportunity to catch up with Bijay and chat about his journey, and we started with how his childhood informed his lifelong passion.
From childhood, right from the day one, I think, when I have that feelings that I am me, from that day, I think I have that fascination towards a good form of aesthetics, maybe. See, I'm from Odisha, and from a place which is kind of very small town, surrounded by nature. Art was something which was never talked about. Probably the guy who was making signboards, on the roadside, sitting under the tree, probably they were considered the artist, From that background, I started probably with just scratching on the surface wherever I found any medium. It could be the sand bed of the river, or most interestingly, it was the Indian chula. It's called oven, earthen oven, where my mother used to cook food, and all my brothers and sisters as huddling together around that chula. And I would pick up burnt charcoal, and started scratching on the surface of that chula. So that was a perfect, terracotta background for me. Yeah. So that is how it all started. Because as a child, you do not know what's medium, what is watercolor, what is art. Nothing, just the form, a beautiful form used to excite me. It could be a flower, it could be a mountain, it could be fish. Anything. Even in school, when I went to school, I was fascinated with drawing or sketching, as you may say. There are no mediums. I started with, like I said, charcoal. Then I graduated to pencil, pen. Then probably at the age of 14 or 15, I saw the first set of a poster color, as they call it. It's a poster color. It's very little. The brand name was Camel, because that is the only brand that was available back then. I'm talking about, because I'm a 70s boy. And since I did not have any surface to paint on what I did, let me tell you here that my father had a medicine store. in Odisha, in that small town. And it was the only medicine store in 40-kilometer radius.
Oh,
so
wow.
it was very important. People from all over the place, they used to come to buy medicine. So I used to, find those white cardboard boxes, I used to flatten them when the supply is gone. And dad used to give me away those boxes, little boxes, and he used to flatten them out. So it formed a beautiful, background for my poster color.
Sure.
So I prefer those white and off-white colored medicine boxes. And as by then I had grown into a huge movie buff.
Wow.
I used to love the then superstars of our time in Bollywood. I mean, Amitabh Bachchan, Dharmender, Mithun Chakrabarti, Rekha, Sridevi.
Sure.
So all these figures I was so fascinated with, and I used to paint them, on those cardboard boxes. And I was immensely popular, friends, my teachers, and everybody, almost in that small town, because everybody know everybody. So they used to appreciate me so much. And that meant so much to me. Probably that is the formative period where that confidence, of course, because right from the beginning, I was sure that I'm a born artist, right?
Yeah.
I'm born as an artist. God has sent me to this earth to paint something, to create something. Because no matter whatever I do, because I did not know what profession means, this is something I need to, because if I'm not doing any artwork or any creative stuff, probably God will be unhappy on me, and he will be kind of disappointed on me.
It sounds like this was something that you knew about yourself, and all of these emotions, being excited with the white cardboard, being appreciated by others. Were there other emotions there too? Did art ever make you at any point sad, or art ever make you hopeful?
Always hopeful. I am a happy-go-lucky guy. Even you look at any of my painting, they are full of positivity.
Yeah.
That feel-good factor you find in most of my paintings. It could be a little sketch, or it could be a massive acrylic painting like the one you are seeing behind me, or the watercolor. So no matter whatever subject I paint, it's always positive. And that is the kind of feedback I always get from my art lovers. They always say that your paintings gives us unalloyed joy. It's a kind of feel-good feeling always. So yes, I think hopeful always. I was never, because sadness never lasts too long in me.
Because all of us go through a range of emotions. So hopefully we're not sad for too long. But in your case, does art actually, when you see art, or when you're experiencing art, or when you're painting, is there so much joy there that in fact it allows you to break from some of these periods of sadness, or even when you're experiencing different kinds of art, or you see becoming inspired by something, does it sometimes move you to these range of emotions, whether they be you're very happy, or it might even make you so hopeful and optimistic, but also really empty and sad that wow, this painting really struck me in a way that I was surprised by?
Yes, somehow yes. But see, I'm such an artist that I'm so much, focused into the technical aspect of an artwork. So on that emotional level, probably I do not connect, because it will be a mistake to tell you that I was emotionally, or yes, definitely I become awestruck.
Yeah.
In a technical way. Oh my God. Look at that piece of artwork.
Yeah.
I mean, the Renaissance artwork. Because I was inspired hugely by our Raja Ravi Verma, the famous Raja Ravi Verma, Indian artist, and of course, R.K. Lakshman. These are the two people who have always influenced me. So whenever I look at a particular cartoon or a caricature from R.K. Lakshman, it could be a little crow flying, the body language of a crow. it used to just, it gives me lots of goosebumps.
Yeah.
So that way the art affects me because I look at art every day. I consume a lot of artwork every day because like they say, if you want to be an author, you need to read a lot. So it's like, so I need my daily dose of artworks.
I'm curious because you worked with the in the Indian railway system for so long in Nagpur. I'm curious, how did the railway platform itself become your inspiration? Were there other experiences that informed how you captured the images and then interpreted them? And for that matter, what did your experiences with the railways, what did that teach you about yourself?
Quite a lot, because that was another adhyaya, another episode, so to say. So cut to 1990. I got my job in early 90 as a ticket checker. I worked for Indian Railways, posted at Nagpur, and I used to work in moving trains. All Indians know what a ticket checker is. It was difficult initially because I'm as an artist, very, very sensitive guy. So the initial couple of years was very, very heartbreaking for me because you are working in a space where you have to interact with the public because they have issues while they're traveling. There are several issues. Sometimes a train is running very, very late. Sometimes bathrooms are not working. And as a frontline staff, you have to face them. And when public is kind of anguished, is kind of, in trouble, definitely they will vent their anger or their frustrations to you because you are the frontline staff. So you have to handle them. Not everybody knows that you are an artist. And so even if they knew that, it doesn't matter to a traveling public. But see, after a point of time, life teaches you quite a lot of things. And so I try to make it a part of my life because this is how life is gonna be. But back home, when I used to come back home, I'm a different person altogether. And there, all my canvases are waiting. And in fact, after a couple of days, a couple of years, I started taking my watercolor kit along with me while I was going. The best thing of that job was that it gave me immense flexible power, flexible time. Sometimes you come home early, sometimes your train is not coming, it's late, and you are getting, unexpected extra time. So during that time, I go out, whatever station it is. Mostly I used to go from Maharashtra to Odisha and towards Chhattisgarh, that area. Before it was Madhya Pradesh, now it is Chhattisgarh. So these are certain stations where I have painted almost everywhere. And the first train painting, the platform painting that came about in the year 2011, I guess, 11 or 12. I was in Bhatapara. That station I cannot forget. The rain had just stopped and my train was kind of late. It was late probably 5 to 6 hours. And I had my watercolor kit and I started doing a little scribble, a little watercolor. And it was a good one. And I came home and I made a huge painting out of that. It was a huge canvas work. And it came out fantastic. I was very happy with what I had done because I have never painted a railway because railway as a subject, it's never exciting. What you are going to do with a subject like that? People moving about, everybody busy with metallic things and trains. So it's not a very aesthetic subject to express on the canvas. But I did that painting. And in year 2012, I went to Mumbai, that India Art Festival. And that painting was a sensation. Everybody loved it. Not just they loved it. There was a lot of media hype around that painting. And that painting got sold.
I wonder because, so many people around the world can relate to that experience of the platform, of train travel, and of what the scene possibly is like, especially on a platform. And I wonder if that probably was so relevant and resonant for people when they saw that.
Probably it has to do with the fact that the rain was there, the reflection part was there. That is vital.
Yeah.
Because that reflective surface with people, I mean, a couple of sadhus coming my way, you could share that. You could say visual thing that you someday you can share that. I mean, look at an Indian platform. People with colorful saris and dress and dupatta flying about, and the reflection. It was a perfect subject for me in acrylic. Yeah. And that painting, after the success of that painting, that gave me an idea that I'm working with railways, and I had never looked at railway platform that way. Yeah. Before that, I used to do a lot of works, a lot of subjects. It could be a hero, it could be, there is not a definitive subject, no recollection value, right? Yeah. From then on, from that painting on, I started, I thought, why not make a series out of that?
Sure.
Then that wet platform series came about, and it broke all my record. It established me literally in this art world, because everybody kind of connected with my kind of art. So much so, there's a lot of pages started sharing my artworks, lakhs and millions of shares. So much so that Prime Minister Narendra Modi also came to know about that. And he praised me immensely. His pep talk show, that is Man Ki Baat. Yeah. And later, and I also got to meet Prime Minister in my show, and one of my painting went to his house, and that painting also was auctioned and to a very high price. So that is how this train thing happened. Like you said, lots of Indian diaspora who have been through India, so they know they can collect with their train journey more than any air travel.
So it's emblematic of not just India, but it sounds like it is emblematic of you, in that it reflects a lot on you as well.
Correct.
Yeah, and I was curious about one thing. You're a completely self-taught artist. How do you think your journey would have been different had you been instructed or taught by someone? Would it impact your own confidence?
I do not know, because I clearly, honestly, I cannot say what would have been my course of action, how I would have developed as an artist. And sometimes I feel that probably it was good that I did not go to any college. In any case, because art is how you express yourself confidently again and again. Probably if I was in any art school or art college, probably I would have been stereotyped. Probably I would have been straight jacketed into a particular format of art making, which I never did. Yeah. I could paint whatever I wanted, because the fact that I was working for Indian Railways, because I was not bothered how to put food on my table, because Railway was taking care of that, and they were supporting me so well. So I never bothered to paint anything that did not excite me, because I would choose my subject very carefully. Yeah. If someone would say, please paint the portrait of my Dadaji or Nanaji, probably I would refuse. I used to refuse a lot. And some of my art friends, they're dying to do that kind of stuff. But I said no, because I want to grow as an artist. An artist should stand out in the crowd for the kind of work that he does. So that is where I, like a lot of people, a lot of artists also told me, Bijay, don't do this railway paintings, don't do this, don't do that. I would never listen to them. I would do my kind of thing, and which is what right now I'm doing.
Do you think the concept of a mistake as an artist, they're self-defined markers? And what I mean by that is that, something that might be a mistake to you might be a masterpiece to me. And how do you grapple with making mistakes as someone who's basically self-taught?
You have answered the question so well. A mistake on my side is a masterpiece from where you are looking at it. So yes, I celebrate my mistake. I have made millions and billions of mistakes, and right now I'm making mistakes. And whatever mistake, that is there in my painting, that becomes a style statement.
Yeah.
I know I'm making some bloody mistakes here and there, and that's fine. Yeah. Because life is not perfect and no art is perfect. Even I can find a lot of things which is not right in Mona Lisa, right? Yeah. So this is how art world works. I do not know about any other academic stuff, what to think about it, but every art is a work in progress.
I am so moved when I look at your art by the combination of simplicity and complexity in the same work. So be it a Odia village or a platform scene or a Devi, is that also the way you view yourself?
Yes, we are all a bundle of contradiction, Abhay. So yes, you are right. Probably that would tell me, you have summarized me so well. Yes, indeed. And sometimes I become angry, and because I turn emotional so very quickly at the drop of a hat. I talk to my wife sometimes. I lose my temper, and I try to rectify myself. So, and a lot of people say, "Oh my God, you are like Zen, like you are like Buddha. You have so much patience. You must not be. You never come across as an angry guy." Well, no, this is part of what I am. I'm a human being after all. So yes, that complexity is there. And in art, in every art, you have, it's not that at every part of your painting you have to put so much detailing or beautify that way. There are some gray areas, some zones where you have to tone down or play down the intensity of that area so that you have that visual pleasure, that, that spiral of looking at the art or better. Because as an artist, you should know where to have that entry point in an artwork. Sure. And once you get that entry point, you are transfixed into that painting. You look at every part of the painting, you enjoy it better. Then you come out of the painting happy, satisfied, whatever emotion that you have.
I read that you've mentioned that you're an artist who respects no limit on creativity and no artistic boundary. So does it ever become challenging to feel content with your work?
Let me tell you one thing. I'm happy with my artwork for probably 24 hours. After 24 hours, I start picking on my own part because I am my worst critic. I look at my artwork and I say, and some artwork just, they make me cringe when I look at this area. And in fact, there are some artworks that I have already sold to my clients, but probably I will call them back and I want to rectify those areas. Of course, of course, they don't mind that. Is that so? And I'm like, yes, this is so cringeworthy. Probably that perspective is not right. And there is one hack that I do with my artwork. When I do something, what happens? Even I tell that to most of my students, my art students, and I tell them, whenever you're doing some painting, sometimes you try to pat yourself and, oh my God, what a fantastic work I have come up with. It's beautiful. Hang on, stay there. What I do, I just, when this painting is done that way, then I put it away. I do not look at that work for next 5 to 6 days, probably a week. Then again, I come back to that painting. So then I notice, because all those mistakes, glaring mistakes, you get to see on your own works, because some areas that are unfinished, some areas that could have some more detailing, so stuff like that.
I'm curious about one thing. You paint a variety of different subjects. How do truth and empathy play a role in your work?
It's almost like a philosophical question, Doctor. You have you have stopped me here. No, I think my honesty to my artwork is truth, sachai. That is what I feel sachai about it, because most of my paintings are rooted in Indianness. You go through all my artworks, one string that is there, that they are typically Indian things, because these are the things I can relate to. It could be my Odisha village, because I was born and brought up in those areas. So my honesty my truthfulness reflect there, because those are the subject that I can relate to. Even the stories that my grandfather, my grandparents told me, my mother told me, the Puranas, the Mahabharatas, the Ramayans, they influence me so much. And I always am very surprised that some of my artist friends tell that, Bijay, how to find a subject. And I always tell them, if you're in India with massive, melting pot of culture and tradition on all those things handed us down the centuries, I mean, you have humongous subjects lying all around you. So I try to be authentic to my Indianness. So that's why, like I said, मैं रेलवे का नमक खाया हूँ. I try to celebrate railways, celebrate my Indianness through those painting, because as an Indian, you need to project yourself, your honesty, and your personality, because every art is a part of your personality. I always believe that.
I'm curious, you're a Nagpur resident by way of Odisha, but you've also traveled and experienced so many global settings and places. How does the concept of home play a role in your work? For instance, when I travel back to visit relatives, particularly in places where I'm going through rural India, every time that I revisit some of these areas, it changes a little bit. So in your eye, the concept of your home in Odisha, or the home in Nagpur, or the home of India, is constantly changing. And in that way, does the nostalgia for those times come into play? Do you ever feel that, like, well, now my eye on rural India is slightly different than it was in the 70s or the 80s what I remember of that? Is it important to also think about how it is changing in those ways too?
Yes, that's a valid point here. Yes, things are changing because technology is advancing every day. Because in villages these days, I see mobile people. I mean, the villagers are carrying mobiles. So that way you see some signboards of some mobile services over there. But yes, whenever in my part of Odisha, where I stay in central Odisha, I think not much has done. There are still some areas like my uncle's house, which is still there. It is still beautiful. It is still that way as it was back then. I mean, I'm talking about 70s and 80s. Yeah. It's still there. It's like time has stopped literally over there. And that's why that's my comfort zone when I go there.
I think, it sounds like no matter what, the comfort comes from what your memory and what your comfort is of that memory. And as you're painting, I imagine that no matter when or how you visit some of these areas, even though they're changing in your mind, you still have an idea of what it is, what it reminds you of, for that matter.
Yes.
When someone is experiencing your art, what do you hope they're learning about you directly?
It's about a person who is always very sure about himself, that he has gone through situations where he had to go through lots of trials and tribulations, but he never gave up his hope of creating, no matter what the situation is, creating some art which makes the world a little beautiful than what it was before. And people can connect with me through my art, because my art is all about beauty, all about positivity, and all about happiness, and of course, Indianness. Here is a proud Indian who wants to showcase his Indianness unabashedly through his artworks, especially the roots that I have come from. So I celebrate my root. I'm that kind of artist.
Well, I know that so many are celebrating those roots with you. Bijay, thank you so much for joining us. It was really a privilege and an honor, and I hope we can visit again sometime soon.
Thank you, Doctor. Thank you. It's such a pleasure, and thanks for having me.
Thank you so much, Bijay. Remember that art is life and life is art, so stop and enjoy it while you can. Till next time, I'm Abhay Darndekar.
Hi, this is Meenakshi Sharma. Listen to Ruckus Avenue Radio at dashradio.com and download the Dash Radio app for complete access 24 hours a day, 7 days a week to our station.